A deal on Dickens, who could resist? A stack of Austen, warmly kissed. Golden Age crime tales twist and turn, every page a treasure to learn. Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea, reading always feels so free.
Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. This is a book review for Norwegian folk tales. This comes from the Pantheon Fairy Tale and Folklore Library, which this is my fairy tale and folklore collection. But this was one I started sometime this month. Initially, I started the Russian one, but I decided once this one came in, I wanted to read this one instead. It starts off very nicely with an introduction to the compilers. And they compiled this series, I want to say, in the 1800s? Hold on. I want to say it was in the 1800s. Yeah, 1800s. And then talks a bit about the artists who, even though Pantheon doesn't always seem to choose the artist that the compiler wanted, in the case of this collection, the artists in question were ones that the compilers of, I want to say it's the second illustrated edition. Well, first and second illustrated edition. One of the artists was involved in the first illustrated edition, and then for the second illustrated edition, he brought in his buddy. And I guess from then on, this is who these particular compilers used. So you have a little bit of an informative section at the beginning that discusses those things, a little bit of historical context. And then you have the stories. And these are just fun little fairy tales that can run anywhere from, a page or two, usually two at smallest. And it can run, I think the longest one I saw was maybe 10 pages. So they're just quick little reads if you want something to kind of feel like you're finishing a complete something, but maybe you don't want to have, or maybe you don't have a lot of time to spend on it. There are definitely themes that run through them. There tends to be several stories that deal with 3 kinds of trolls that need to be taken care of. There'll be, people cursed to take a different form. There'll be a helping character that turns out to be someone else. A prince or a princess who will be, someone else, or something else in the story. A lot of things with unreasonable princesses that have to be wooed, or otherwise difficult princesses that need to be wooed. But there's also some stories that feel like they're variants of other stories. Like White Bear King Vailmon seems to be a variant of East of the Sun, West of the Moon. But it definitely has its differences. It's different enough that it's not quite the same story. And I'm trying to see if it says... Now, I was hoping it would say where this particular story... I'm wondering, when I read, I know that my Scandinavian folk and fairy tales does have East of the Sun, West of the Moon in it. So I'm going to be interested in comparing the one in here to White Bear King Vailmon. And then, of course, East of the Sun, West of the Moon also has characteristics in common with some of your typical, metamorphosis type stories where there's an enchanted prince or princess. To a certain extent, it has some similarities with Beauty and the Beast. It also has a very strong core to it that resembles the story of Eros or Cupid, depending on the translation, and Psyche, which is one of the stories that I'm not hugely fond of Greek mythology, but that is one of the few Greek myths that I'm actually really fond of. And I've always been happy that there's something similar to it in Norwegian mythology, because then I can get my tale without necessarily having to, go over to Greek mythology if I don't feel like it. But yes, it's fun to see how some of these stories, where their similarities are, where they're different. I'm interested in seeing some of the themes repeating in other countries and seeing what themes seem to cross the barrier of time and place. And I thought I had written down a note. No, okay, I only done so for East of the Sun, West of the Moon. The closest thing we have to one that I can immediately compare to another myth from outside this culture was a Snow White and Rose Red, but even that wasn't your typical Snow White story. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about this. It's just a really nice, fun, relaxing read. If you enjoy mythology, you'll enjoy this. I really like the art in this. Story of Butterball. That one there. Just a lot of nice artwork in it. So it just gives not only fun stories for the imagination, but also lovely pictures to go with it. I think there was a missed opportunity to give this white bear a crown, but since he doesn't have a crown in the story, I guess that makes sense. But, I mean, the story's called White Bear King Vailmon. You really, like, a little crown on the white bear. That would have been fun. But I get why, they didn't do that, because it doesn't work as well for the story itself. That's another difference I noticed with the White Bear King Vailmon versus East of the Sun, West of the Moon. I believe that the girl is not a princess in the East of the Sun, West of the Moon, where she is in White Bear King Vailmon. And I want to say also that the reason she went with the white bear was different. I actually like the version I remember from East of the Sun, West of the Moon better. Oh, I know which one had... Sorry, I got buzzed for something. Okay. There was one in here that reminded me of the French fairy tale White Cat, or The White Cat, rather. And I want to say it's something about a tabby cat, or just, let's see. Not Squire Pear. I think it was Squire Pear. It was Squire Pear. Yeah, so Squire Pear made me think of the French fairy tale, The White Cat, although it definitely had aspects that were very much not the same. But there was enough that I was like, that's interesting. That kind of crossed over a little bit. Whether or not that they knew about the French fairy tale or vice versa. But yeah, that's really all there is to say about this. As seems to run through a lot of fairy tales, you'll either have the very clever hero who a lot of times, at least in this kind of tale, it's going to be someone who is either it's generally a peasant, or you'll have a young man who's considered somewhat simple but good-hearted, who's a peasant, and he'll come upon some sort of companion who will then make things work out for him. And that's something that repeats so much through this that, I mean, to give you the number of stories would be to give you examples would be to name at least half the book. That's just a theme that runs through consistently in the Norwegian fairy tales. And like I said in a previous video, this cover really doesn't do the artwork doesn't represent the beauty of the artwork within. But yeah, very good fairy tale book. I look forward to starting the next fairy tale book I intend to read. I was going to continue on to the Russian ones, which I had already started. But considering the fact that, let's see, there's only like 10 days left in the month, and I have other books I want to finish, I'll probably wait until I start Legends and Tales of the American West for June on the Range. Although if I do get a bit of a fairy tale hankering, I will pull out my Russian one regardless. I don't think I have any other one that's super short that I think I can finish before June, so. Yes. So read this book if you like fairy tales. Thank you very much for joining me. Oh, and I would say check out any of the Pantheon collection if they're all as well set up as this one. So thank you very much for joining me. Hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you again for the next video. God bless. Bye.
Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.